welcome back to Survivor 41, about boys and girls. Okay, so last time Nasir and Evie got voted out. What a great episode of Survivor, first of all. Unfortunately, we lost two great players to watch, and some great people. But things are happening, things are getting spicy. I'm excited to see where we go from here, honestly. So let's get into it. As always, you can click the link in the description to watch the highlights of my reaction to the episode. I'm watching it for the first time here with you. And then afterwards, I'm going to do a little bit of a discussion, just solo right now. And if you aren't aware, I'm going through Survivor Palau with my friend Alec, who I've been taking through Survivor chronologically for the first time ever. So he only knows up to what we've watched in Palau. He doesn't know any spoilers past that. So it's a great little experiment we've got going on. We've been doing for 2 years now, like almost 3 years, actually, in a couple months. So it's been great. Okay, let's go. The day has finally come, and for some reason I'm not as sad as I thought I would be. Like, I love Shan, and I think I've heard in like the discourse of the fan community, like a lot of people have just been turning on Shan, especially like Twitter. They're just like out on Shan. They're fed up with Shan. I still love Shan. I was a ride or die Shan stan, and I still stick by that. But that being said, this feels like such like a fitting end for her, and they made it such an artistic product out of it, like this dramatic, the slow-mo with the revotes, because you knew at that point what was happening, and like, damn. And the fact that she was such a good sport about it, like up till the very end afterwards, like hats off to Ricard and everything. Wow, what an episode. Brilliant episode. I mean, really interesting stuff. There's so much like back and forth, and like the whisper down the lane, the effects of that we saw so much of tonight. Literally, Liana wanting to tell Shan that they're going after Ricard to protect Shan, sets the ball in motion for Shan to then tell Ricard, because she doesn't want Ricard to go. She tells him that. And that sets the ball in motion for Ricard to go out for this immunity, win that immunity challenge, and then take that information. Like, yeah, Shan told me this information, but that group of four could just choose to, or her people could choose to take me out next time. So it's time to get out Shan. That's crazy. And I said that, like, this is going to be a big moment for Shan, her telling Ricard, like, one way or another. That's a really pivotal moment for her. I did not expect for her to be at the hands of Ricard in this episode, for to see the fruition of that. I'm like, geez. But that is some spicy stuff, like betraying your closest friend after they tell you they're trying to save you. Oh my gosh. And it was so interesting, this narrative between the two, where it's like, we never said we were going to be final two. We know we're always going to have to turn on each other at some point. But, Shan's perspective is that it's not time. She doesn't want Ricard to go. And Ricard even tells her when she tells him. She's like, I'm surprised. He's like, I'm surprised you told me. And now, of course, in retrospect, obviously, this was a disastrous move for Shan. The worst one that could have been made. Like, you keep it to yourself, that would have been fine. Keeping it to yourself and letting Ricard go. The problem is that Shan wasn't playing to get to the next vote. She was playing to win. And I can obviously see that logic. Like, if she didn't expect Ricard to turn on her this vote, and obviously you would expect someone to, like, return the favor and be grateful for at least that one vote of keeping him around. But she underestimated Ricard in that too. It's like, it was a lot for her to have to account for that she didn't. But it's so wild, because yeah, if she didn't tell after Liana told her, they could have done that, taken that, and just tried to get. No, they couldn't have tried to get the Sean out, because she'd still have to tell Ricard about it. So all she could have done is hold on to the information. And I don't know, maybe this gave Ricard the push to win, but he probably still win immunity, so they would still throw a wrench in that plan. Like, they wouldn't just vote Ricard out. But obviously their trust wouldn't feel betrayed by Shan in that moment. And obviously it was that piece of information, Shan telling Ricard, this is what inspired him to turn on her, because he was like, oh wait, they could just take me out whenever she's ready then. And so if she didn't present him with that, then he probably wouldn't have been as eager to turn on her either. So she would have been safe for a few more votes from then on. But damn. And obviously it's like she had no reason to suspect it. Like, they did it really well. And so she didn't have a reason to play her idol or even think to. I love that Danny's just there, like, he's not taking the heat for any of it. He was the one who brought up the Ricard idea. And it turned first onto Sean and then on Shan as, like, potential casualties of this. So, but I love it. It seems like Danny responds to so many conversations with, like, oh, that just shows me I need to get them out now. Erica talks to him about splitting the vote between Liana and Shan, which is what they end up doing. And he's like, oh, well, that just makes me concerned about Erica now. And so he could have decided to go against Erica here. Ultimately, he stuck with the plan of the Shan plan, which is crazy, you know? Like I mentioned before, Big Brother had the Cookout Alliance, which was formed with all the black members of the house. And, I mean, differently to this, they did it for the culture. In spite of it all, like, there were key players who could have made different moves that would have benefited them personally much more than sticking with that alliance. Like, they had better relationships outside of the alliance, but they stuck with it just for the culture. And so that ultimately they paid the price. All 6 of them got to the end, but they paid the price in that they weren't able to set up their winning game. And in this one, though, we actually see a different version of that where they've already turned on each other. As they're at final 7 now, and they've already taken out one. And it's that betrayal of trust. Like, it's the Shan betraying the trust, but ultimately, like, it's Liana betrayed the trust by telling her that information. It's interesting they didn't seem to be mad at Liana about that, because Shan shouldn't have even known about the Ricard plan. But, you know, Shan felt betrayed by them, obviously, going after Ricard. But so it's really interesting to see play out like this. And it's really interesting. It will be really interesting to see in the final stretch here. What we have here, I think, is we have Heather and Erica, who are running dead in the water. And the other 5 have some semblance of a chance, I think. Danny has an understated game. I could see him coming out as, like, a low-key winner, like, to sneak by in the end and come out on top. But obviously you have the power players like Deshawn and Ricard, who are, like, really have strong cases already. Xander is that outside free agent man now. And it's crazy. He literally didn't know what was happening. He was just witnessing the tribal council unfold. Like, whoa, Shan. Oh, interesting move, guys. Like, because he was completely blind to everything. We didn't tell him a thing. But again, he holds on to the idol. So he's just going to be this man who wins immunities and holds on to this idol every time. He just one more time. That's the thing with idols. It's like they try to, when you have fewer numbers, it's hard to plan for. Because it's like, okay, well, he's going to be safe, so we might as well not vote for him. But it's like, well, if you're thinking the way that everybody else is thinking, then Xander's like, well, I'm not going to play my idol because I'm safe, right? So they're not going to vote for me. They're going to waste some of their precious votes on me because things can go wrong much worse that way. If you put more votes on Xander and he does play the idol, then there's so much more potential for error. And so it'll be interesting going down this final stretch. Will he use his idol? Will he use his idol? And he could be winning these immunities too. He's got a strong chance of that as well. So Xander's that kind of wild card element at this point. A very understated episode, which made sense because since he was completely out of everything, he was also completely out of this episode. Liana has an outside chance. I feel like she's probably the weakest case for a winning game out of, like, the core members, and especially out of the remaining 3 of the core 4. I think so. And she's kind of been left out of this, so she might be on the outs, and she's going to be pissed with Danny and Deshawn after this too, so they might just have to get her out anyway, because I don't know if who she'll work with, so there's that. Really interested to see how this turns out, though. So sad to see Shan go. Honestly, I loved her. I love what she brought to this game, especially the pre-merge. Like, she ran the pre-merge. It was a beautiful thing to witness. The Shan and Ricard dynamic. I love how they've teased that from the beginning. Such a good narrative and to have full payoff. The Ricard was pretty much single-handedly responsible for Shan's demise here. Well, like the action of her demise, but obviously Shan shouldn't have told Ricard. Liana shouldn't have told Shan. Like, there's all these things we can peel it back that led to it, but Ricard pulled the trigger, and like, good on him. Again, this might not be ideal for him. It's so hard to say in the moment, because now he is. I mean, she said he got my vote for $1 million, and the spotlight's going to be on him, right? Danny was already thinking it, so who's to say that Danny might not join forces with them and or rally the troops against Ricard next time anyway. So, I mean, he won the battle, but we'll see if he wins the war because of it. These decisions like this, you often don't really see you can't tell if it was the best decision until much further down the line. And so I'm looking forward to seeing it play out for sure. So it'll be sad if Ricard's like the next one out, because it's like, damn, I made this power move just for nothing, huh? And it might be how it goes, because like, who are Ricard's reliable allies now? You know, he was working with Danny and Deshawn a little bit, I guess, and Liana. They had some working relationship, but they clearly were eyeing him up, Danny and Deshawn at least. So I can't see that being very fruitful. And unless he rallies the bottoms people of the people on the bottom, then maybe there's something there. But I don't know if he'll do that. And Erica's also like the type who might be like itching to get him out. So it's interesting. It was spicy. It was beautifully done. It was really, I loved Shan's exit, and I loved the whole Shan and Ricard of it all. But it'll be interesting to see this end game. I love that Xander is just playing this like completely different game now, where it's like, well, I can't work with anybody. They're not telling me anything. So I'm just going to sit here and not play my idol. That's what I do. I just don't play my idol. I'm King Xander. That's how I do things. Okay. All right. So there's so much to love from this episode, honestly. Sheesh. And I love this was all kind of set up from Ricard winning that reward too. There's so many things, like little things that set things off. Like if he didn't win that reward, would Danny have felt the need to turn on Ricard? And then that wouldn't set this whole ball in motion to blow up the 4. So it's crazy, this game of Survivor, how things line up like that. And even the fact that like if he had brought one of them, like Danny and Deshawn, they wouldn't have been together to make this plan against him. And so it's good that like they cut back on the rewards a lot this season with the new direction of the show. I think it makes sense because they did kind of get in the way a lot. But this reward, like, it's a strategic reward, and that you have to pick a certain amount of people to come with you, and you can see time and time again how that comes into play, and we saw that here. So glad if they were going to do it, they did it like this. And the fact that he did this nice gesture for Shan and ultimately ends the episode with the ultimate blindside and betrayal of Shan. It's like, oof. Right. So that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, check out more on our channel. We got plenty. For example, we just went through a lot of the Ghostbusters movies, so check out our review of the first classic 1984 Ghostbusters. You could do that, and subscribe to the channel for more. Subscribe to our podcast feed, like the video, leave us a comment, hit the notification bell, and then follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and like us on Facebook, Tarqaron TWO. Okay.